Hello and welcome in to another episode of the Fantasy Football Forecast. I'm your host, Trevor Scott, joined by my co-host, Matt Giraldi.
What's going on, guys?
And we are here today to talk over a rookie draft. We're going to be doing a rookie mock draft in today's episode. A lot of you guys out there might be dynasty players, and have started to do your rookie mock drafts or have your rookie mock drafts coming up. We're only 6 weeks away from, regular drafts really going into full swing. So depending on how close to the season that you want to do your rookie mock drafts, it might already be complete. But for those of you that haven't done it, or for those of you that want confirmation bias on any picks you did make, we're going to run through this. We're going to talk through all these rookies. So let me share my screen here, and we're going to get into a 3-round mock draft. We're going to use Fantasy Pros Mock Draft Simulator, which is one of the sites that has the rookie drafts on it. Sleeper unfortunately doesn't have the rookie mock draft, so we'd be using that. So you can see here we're gonna pick the dynasty setting. We're gonna go rookies only. We're gonna have it be a linear draft. So if you do a snake draft as part of your rookie draft, I'm not sure that that's the best format. You should be using linear, and then pick logical, just be basic. 10 teams. We're gonna take the 5th pick, so we can be in the middle of the draft. We'll look at the picks before and after our pick as well. So we won't just be locking only on our pick. We'll talk about all the players that get drafted, and then we'll have three open spots here. So
yeah, and anyone that's watching that's not in a specific rookie dynasty type format, we're going to be talking through the guys that are going to be taken in regular redraft leagues too. So just if you're listening and you're not in that format, this is going to be relevant to all players.
Yeah, and especially that first round of the rookie draft is going to apply to our redraft league. So we'll be talking about it from that context. Yeah. All right. So the first 4 picks, not too surprising. Right, you got Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, and Malik Neighbors. And from in Superflex, right, these 2 quarterbacks are likely going to go 1 and 2. Marvin Harrison could break in there if somebody has really good young quarterbacks. 2 of them already struggling at receiver, they might make that decision. But overall, the quarterback is just so much more valuable in rookie drafts, especially if you have any aging player at that position, or if you just want an excellent trade chip, or you have a player on your team that's not necessarily the best quarterback. Maybe you have like a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr, type of thing, and you need a young replacement. You got to get in early on these quarterbacks here. So from our perspective, redraft Superflex, right? We're taking Marvin Harrison first of this group, even in 10-team Superflex. So from that perspective, I could understand taking Marvin Harrison Jr. first overall. And if he's sitting there and it's a 3 wide receiver league, it is very tempting to go with him. So some of this is going to depend on roster construction, but I think overall, these are going to be the first 4 players taken in pretty much every rookie draft.
Yeah, so sitting here at the 5th pick, obviously we can go in a couple directions. We can either take one of the rookie quarterbacks, or we can jump on someone like a Rome Odunze. Do you want to go with a skill position player, or should we just lock in, someone like a Drake May for the future?
My opinion is that we try to get as much talent as you possibly can, right? My position on these is like, don't let your roster construction affect too much what you're going to end up drafting. So, there's obviously thought, that you got to make sure you lock a quarterback, but I'm not entirely sold on either of these quarterbacks as for sure things for the future. So my opinion would be to go to Rome Odunze. I think he's the best player available, and I think long term, even as a receiver for Chicago tied to Caleb Williams, I think that he's going to be the best player even after this year that's still available. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if this is the year that Chicago really turns it around, going forward specifically, Rome's going to be a big part of that. Now, when they brought in Keenan Allen, that's a lot of targets going to be going his way. But Keenan's on a 1-year rental in Chicago. DJ Moore's got 2 years left on his deal. So I think, getting that big-bodied receiver that could potentially be Caleb Williams' number 1 target for the next 4+ years is too good to pass up on.
All right, so 3 quarterbacks go between our pick. And again, we're not snake drafting. It's linear, so right, it goes to the end and then back to 201. So we got 3 quarterbacks go off here. We got Bowers, tight end goes off. And if you don't have a tight end at all, you working with somebody like Pat Fryermuth in your dynasty leagues, or you're getting towards the end of your redraft leagues. We both are okay with taking Bowers. You like Bowers quite a bit more than me. But I don't dislike Bowers. I just think that rookie tight ends are difficult to judge, and sometimes end up on the waiver wire in week 4, 5, 6 when you need a spot when we get to bye weeks. But overall, I think in a rookie redraft league, right, he's a very valuable asset, very good to get in the first round, I think. And again, it's one of those talent over need things at a certain point, and I think he's worth taking a shot on from a talent perspective. I'm bummed Jonathan Brooks didn't make it back to us. I wanted to talk about him, so I'll do it here anyways. He is uniquely positioned in rookie drafts, I think, to be the top overall running back. I'm surprised to see Trey Benson go in front of him. He is coming off injury in that ACL tear, but he's only 20 years old, and he got drafted into a situation in Carolina where he's going to be the only game in town. They have Chuba Hubbard, they had Miles Sanders. Those guys are taking a complete backseat to Jonathan Brooks. He's so explosive. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and I really think that in your rookie drafts, right, there's not a lot of running back talent in this year's class. So if you're at the beginning of the second round, end of the first round, and you need a running back, I wouldn't have any problem attacking Jonathan Brooks. And he's somebody too that, since the top running back is going to go so low this year, he's somebody that you might want to consider trying to trade up for. If you have an early second round pick and you're getting to the end of your first round of your rookie draft, he's still not getting picked. Somebody isn't necessarily sold on who they're taking at 9, and you're sitting there at 12. Like, try and figure out a way to move up. Maybe trade your third round pick and your early second to move up into the first, or maybe trade next year's second round pick to get up there, type of thing. Because I think he is going to be worth it, and I think that he's actually going to be somebody that's going to stick around as fantasy relevant for a couple of years. So going and getting Jonathan Brooks, if your draft is going to look like this in Superflex, is somebody that I would try and do.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a dream start for Team 3 right there. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jonathan Brooks. I mean, those can be two number ones going forward. So I'm definitely jealous about that. It's just looking at the board, kind of looking for any potential abnormalities. Ladd sneaking into the first round. You and I both really like Ladd. Xavier Worthy, he's an interesting one because he's not going to be the number 1 target on the team this year. He's probably going to be the number 3 target on the team, and maybe even 4 once Rice comes back. So you're kind of doing an upside play based on draft profile, based on the potential to eventually be Patrick Mahomes' number 1 target. But I don't really see him being higher than the number 3 option in the next couple years. So it feels a little high, but I can see the upside. But I just can't pass on Jonathan Brooks if I'm the person in that one position right there.
Yeah, no, I agree, and also I wouldn't pick Worthy over the guy that we're going to take right here. I think even this year that Worthy isn't going to have a better role than Keon Coleman, and I think that Keon Coleman exceeds him in talent. I understand the 40, okay, I get it, but that we got to get rid of that at this point. And he was picked 33 overall. It was Josh Allen's guy, and he's got all kinds of talent. It was very, very productive in college. So I mean, even Worthy, I feel like is a reach over Coleman, and so this pick I think is uniquely poor. But like you said, it's an upside play, right? If you're taking a shot on Worthy, you're hoping he's going to become Tyreek Hill. Like that's pretty much the only thing. That level of upside is the only thing that's pushing him up that high. So I know we didn't talk a lot about who we're taking, but I think we're pretty united in the fact that this is a slam dunk pick here.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking about Keon Coleman, but just the cliff notes, like you said, with the 40 time, but the fastest gauntlet drill, that just screams Puka from last year. Not saying that's going to happen, but if people are looking for patterns, look no further than Keon Coleman, and I'm very excited about him as a player this year.
Yeah, he's got all the opportunity in the world, too, on top of being a talent. So let's go ahead and take him, see where the rest of the draft goes here. Quite a few receivers go off there. Ricky Pearsall, Eddie Mitchell, Jalen Polk, Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette. Yeah, I'm not crazy about a lot of these receivers. I think Pearsall is the best, and that he's going first for Dynasty because of that unique San Francisco situation. Brandon Ayuk just requested a trade, so if that ends up happening, Pearsall's going to rocket up the rankings in redraft, and he's going to in this type of format too, right? I mean, he's probably going to push into the first round or early second round. So I mean, he can move up 5, 6, 7 picks, which in a rookie draft, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
And then the quarterbacks go, Penix, Radler. I'm not all that interested in drafting those guys in Dynasty unless you have dedicated spots for rookies, that you can kind of store guys in rookie slots until you have to activate them or until you activate them, right? Like some Dynasty leagues have 3, 4, 5 spots like that. So, if that's the case, then I'm much more inclined to draft them. I'll push them up the board. But if you have to hold a guy like that on your bench and you're running 10 bench spots or something like that, or 12 bench spots, I'm not all that interested in drafting them. I'd rather take a shot on somebody that could actually be productive for me this year and work on getting a quarterback again next year. Penix, I obviously would be more inclined to pick than Radler. But the roster construction part of it and having to hold guys that aren't going to help you at all is just something that's difficult to swallow no matter what. So that's what's pushing them down in these ranks. So, and if you're in a dynasty league and you're listening to this and you're trying to convince your commissioner to add rookie spots, I think that's a great way to do it, is kind of have like a taxi squad or a rookie squad. And once you activate somebody, they can't go back onto a rookie spot, right? So if you draft Penix, you could put him in your rookie spot and you just keep him there until he's the starter. So he can sit there in one of your 3, 4, 5 spots for 4 years, 3 or 2 years, however long it's going to take him to start. And then he doesn't ruin your ability to kind of compete and use your bench spots just like the rest of your league. And if you do have spots like that, I would move Penix way up. I think that once he does take over, that he's going to be productive. He's going to be on an offense that has all kinds of weapons, right? That are all young, that they're going to try and keep and sign. So, anyways, that's just a little diatribe on dynasty construction and talk to your commissioners.
I'm just kind of glancing over the board. AD Mitchell, obviously, we don't expect him to do a whole lot this year, but talent profile wise can be a top 15 player, or not player, but wide receiver in the NFL if things all work out. But there's a crowded room with a team that has Jonathan Taylor and a running quarterback. Jalen Polk, that's going to be an interesting kind of wide receiver room to watch in New England. No one's necessarily super inspiring, but they did take him with their early second round pick. He's pretty underrated as a player, but again, they should have drafted Ladd McConkey. I know we say that all the time. Team 3 with Harrison and Brooks had a chance to take Blake Corum there, and you and I really like Blake Corum. I think maybe I like him more than a lot of other people, but I really believe that if Kyron misses more time with foot injuries, or there's a chance that Corum can even take over and McVay can ride the hot hand with him, I would have gone with him over Lloyd. But yeah, nothing, obviously it thins out quite a bit with these rookie drafts. So we're nitpicking.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's something to be said for Marshawn Lloyd. There are analysts that think he's the best running back in the class and that he landed in a great spot, right? I mean, he's going to get opportunity in year one, so I don't necessarily mind Marshawn Lloyd over Blake Corum. My thing with Blake Corum that I do worry about, obviously you gave the positive side, right? Like, we both like him as a player and we both think he could be productive if he gets the work. But there's a chance that if Kyron's healthy, he just doesn't play.
Absolutely.
And again, it's going to be one of those things where if that ends up happening, this pick is going to end up being really tough to hold on to if you don't have any sort of rookie protection on him. And could possibly end up being the back guy on your bench because he's not playing at all.
And we saw a very similar scenario last year with both the Seahawks and the Jaguars drafting running backs early, and they were not productive and barely saw the field, and people were kind of hyping them up. So I think that's an important thing to note.
And for anybody who doesn't know who those players are, he's talking about Zach Charbonnet for the Seahawks, and he's talking about Tank Bigsby for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Both guys expected to take work. Both guys drafted in the second round. Both guys didn't do anything. They didn't even play.
Yeah.
Charbonnet played more, I guess, and Walker was down for a little bit, so Charbonnet became more involved. But those guys were like 8th round picks, 9th round picks, and they just never panned out at all.
Yeah.
Bigsby, I think, was maybe a little later, maybe 10 or 12, something like 10 to 12 in that range. But Blake Corum's kind of fits a similar profile there, and if he doesn't play like those guys, then he's not going to be worth anything. He's going to be on the waiver wire in week 5,
Yeah.
6, when you need a guy for a bye week fill in. So, all right. Anyways, so let's go to our pick. Who are we going to take here now? Looking over the board, right? We have 2 receivers already. That doesn't necessarily lock us out, but assuming we need help at other positions, we're going to have to consider going in a different direction anyways. Looking at the receivers, just as as an aside, I think the pick for me at receiver here between Burton, Wilson, and Corley would be Corley. I think that with the Jets, like, he's going to be one of their starters right out of the gate. This is somebody that Aaron Rodgers really wanted. So I think he's going to be on the field a lot. I think in redraft, he's being slept on quite a bit. I mean, you can get him in your last round. And Mike Williams isn't exactly healthy yet. We haven't gotten much positive news on him. And so, he did get hurt kind of in the middle of last year. I forget exactly what week it was, but, into the season anyways. And so he's somebody that I think maybe we should start talking about a little bit more, and somebody that's a late round sleeper for me in redraft. So,
Yeah, I
that
agree
was
with
where,
you with him for this upcoming year in redraft. I'm just thinking the way that our team is built with 2 potential starting wide receivers, I'd kind of opt for Jermaine Burton in this scenario, looking toward the future. Now, Jermaine Burton is one of the most talented wide receivers entering this draft. He got pushed down for some off the field issues, but if T. Higgins is gone next year and Burton is their clear number 2, and he absolutely can be from a talent profile perspective, I think that's someone that could be very productive. Now, this year, not so much. I agree with your take about the fact that Rodgers wants Corley and likes Corley, and they're like roommates over the summer or something. Can't be understated. But I think looking to the future, I would go in a different direction. But looking at the running back position, looks like we've got Jalen Wright there. That's an interesting one because Mostert's not going to be around and healthy forever, and Miami wants to run the ball. But at the same time, he's still going to be option number 3 this upcoming year and option number 2, presumably, for the next couple years. So I don't know what you think about him versus some of the other guys.
yeah, I mean, not to make the comparison, right? Because I don't think Jalen Wright is the same level of player as Devon Achane. But who was number 3 going into last year in the backfield?
Yeah,
Devon
Devon
Achane.
Achane. Yeah,
So I mean, he jumped, and it's obviously a lot easier to jump Jeff Wilson,
yeah,
But Wilson was the second on the depth chart, right? And he was the second one, or he was getting drafted right next to Achane, for the most part, until the news came out that he was going to be on the PUP to start the year. But I think that there's room for him to get on the field. I mean, they run the ball so much. Mostert has not been the beacon of health. Just because he played all year last year, and he missed week 17, but just because he was able to stay healthy last year does not mean he's going to be able to this year. He's the oldest running back in the league, even still. So I think even this year there's upside for Jalen Wright, and I think next year, he's going to be in the top 2. I think it's going to be him and Achane next year. So, I think that would be my pick here. And like you said, based on how we drafted, we took 2 receivers. So let's get in on a running back here.
and to have
the draft.
to be able to get a guy with this much talent in the 3rd round is hard to pass up on too. And let's not pretend that Achane has just been completely healthy his whole college and NFL career either, and he's a smaller back too.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if you're listening to this and you still play in a standard league, like no half PPR, no PPR, first of all, update your league format. But second of all, Estime is in a unique position in Denver to get the goal line carries, and with all the news surrounding Javonte Williams possibly getting cut or not having to work for his job, if he's not going to be there and it's going to be Jaleel McLaughlin kind of leading the backfield, I'm going to be much more in on Estime getting the goal line work and getting the touchdowns for this team on the ground, which might not be a lot, but moving forward, this could improve. So, he's somebody that even over all of these other guys, that if you're looking for a kind of later upside play, I estimate is my guy here at running back among these players. All right, so you see our rookie class. We got Adunze, we got Keon Coleman, we got Jalen Wright. So we don't end up getting in on a quarterback. That's why you kind of have to use a first round pick in Superflex rookie leagues if you want a new quarterback. But again, unless you're getting one of the top ones, I don't necessarily always think it's worth it. Even in a stacked quarterback class, right? Imagine you got Mac Jones 4 years ago. Did that help you? Not really, right? And he was the fifth one. Imagine you got Justin Fields. Did that really help you that much? Like, I don't even remember. I'd have to go back and look at who else you could have got at other positions. But I think I stress that because once you get out of the top couple in the draft, it's really a kind of hit or miss, depending on who's actually going to stick. The last guys that went off, a couple running backs. Burton, the guy you wanted, so good to know that the computer agrees with you. And then we got Ben Sano, who, he's taking over the tight end position in Washington, so he might be okay this year. I mean, I think he's going outside the top 20 at tight end, so he's not really redraft relevant at all. I don't think he's really relevant in redraft. I think he's going to be third on the depth chart. I don't think he's really going to get on the field much. And then Ray Davis. I don't know a ton about Ray Davis, so I'd have to look more into him to give any sort of good advice on drafting him. But like I said, I think I'd take Esteve over him.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And with that, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.